Hey up! I'm Guy Kestevan, the Tester Man, and today I'm here in the workshop with Adrian Smith from Carbon Wasp in Leeds. Here to talk about the latest version, because you've been designing and developing this bike for a long old time.
Yeah, it's been years, yeah.
But this is now a production bike.
It is, yep.
Made just over the hill in Leeds.
That's it.
Adrian, what do we need to know?
So this is our Pinion Gearbox hardtail. We do a fat bike version as well, but this is the standard 148 wheel version. 4 standard sizes with some options to customise within those. Adjustable dropouts. Pinion gearbox, it also fits the FE gear Mimic, but with the Pinion and the Smart Shift system, kind of works pretty well. And they're available now, and like you say, all made in Leeds.
Yeah. So, and it's a custom wrap on it.
That's right, yeah.
Well, you offer standard wraps, don't you, in terms of the colour panels?
So, well, we sort of say any one colour is standard.
Yeah.
And then we can do fancy stuff after that if you...
yeah, because we've got a bit of a reveal to do on another bike, another frame you've bought over, but that's going to be subject to another video, but that's going to be well worth watching. So, I mean, talk us kind of through the process of how Carbon Wasp came to be as a company and what you do otherwise besides these bikes, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Geo and the sort of specs of this bike in particular.
Yeah, so we started quite a few years ago. It kind of came out of... It was never set up as a business as such until more recently, but I just started making bikes, and then people started asking me to make stuff, and we kind of went down a route of doing custom projects and things like that, which was good and bad. But ultimately we realised the process we've got now lends itself much better towards standardised parts. But because we're always going to be low volume, there's always going to be scope to customise and things like that within that. And that's kind of what we can do that other people can't. So that's what we'll keep doing. But we make, I mean, our first sort of big product was aero bars for time trial and triathletes.
And track.
Yeah, and track.
You know, and you've won a few World Championships and Olympics along the way with those.
I've won a couple of gold medals.
Don't be shy about that, you know. It's not just... Yeah, I mean, it kind of started as a bedroom operation, but now there's rainbow stripes and gold medals.
Yeah.
Even with your equipment.
That's right, with our equipment,
impressive.
not...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
not yet.
That wasn't available, but... yeah, no, that area, the sort of time trial track kind of scene is... At face value, it's completely different to mountain biking. So I'm a mountain biker, but we're cyclists, aren't we? So we'll ride road, whatever. I did time trial in the past. But the people involved are exactly the same as mountain bikers.
Yeah. It's still a very exacting product as well. And the stress is there putting through them. What I'm saying is stuff goes through the ringer. Because there was that big issue with, was it the Australian team?
Yes, so that was
the Olympics that had a
printed titanium bar. Yeah, that's right. No, I mean that equipment is great to work on for us because it's completely performance driven as opposed to brand driven, and fashion driven, which we do encounter in mountain biking, don't we?
Yeah.
But so there's an easy route for a small company like ours to succeed because you can produce a product that is genuinely world class and it's easy to be recognised in that way. Because people can test it and they know it works. You don't have to have.
But you say easy.
Well, okay, straightforward.
Over years of evolution. Because now you're at the stage of this bike that you're actually committing to like metal moulds for it and stuff like that. Because you've used like 3D printed moulds previously. And things like that, and hand layups as well when you're building the first ones.
Yes.
But now it's... Now, like you're saying, there are 4 basic frame sizes, but within that, people can have different rear end lengths. I mean, obviously, there's the adjustable dropout on these anyway.
That's right.
But on the truffle full suspension bike, which is what we're going to be talking about in the other video, they've got different rear lengths, and people can have... I mean, it comes with standard with internal storage.
Standard with, but you can choose to have it without.
Yeah, and different frame mounts, bottle mounts, so I imagine can be added or taken away.
As standard, we've just got the down tube bottle cage here, but we're making a frame at the moment with no end of mounts for different bits of bobs. Because this is the idea behind this bike was that it's kind of, you can set it up for anything. So this is a bike that I've been riding. It's kind of a classic winter hardtail
Yeah.
for sort of thrashing around in the woods. But equally, you could set the same sort of frame. You could set it up as a bike packing tourer type bike, which which is a big market for the gearbox.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause we'll do a live ride later on the bike separately. But I've ridden it already. I've cleaned it up just so you can come over and talk us through it. But it really does suit that kind of zero maintenance, long mileage, more cruisy stuff than I'd say. Because, I mean, there's a load to talk about with the auto shift and stuff and things like that, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Right, so Adrian, you're officially appointed our Pinion gearbox expert at the moment. And this is Pinion with Smart Shift, yeah?
Yes. So this is the new system that I think they developed. So Pinion make a motor gearbox unit as well, which is a e-bike system with their sort of gearbox tacked onto a massive motor. And so I think they developed the auto shift as part of that with the trigger shift, but now it's available as part of the normal non-powered gearbox for all of our benefit. So it's been available, well, I mean, I've had this about a year, a bit longer. So it's starting to filter through on production bikes like this. And I think now pretty much every new gearbox you get will have this because that's what people want, isn't it?
Yeah, because like we were saying before, the twin cable wasn't it was its weakest link.
Yes.
Definitely.
They do, so there's two versions of the gearbox, the C line and the P line. This is the C line, which is the only one available with the Smart Shift.
Yeah.
So you can have that, I think, 6, 9 and 12 speed. This is 12 speed. The P line is ever so slightly wider, and yet that can run up to 18 speed. But that's still only available with the trigger, with the grip shift.
Right.
That gives you a slightly bigger range and closer space in between the gears. So there's some advantages. But
I guess for road or something like that. But this, I mean, 12 speed seems to,
around the world. Yeah.
12 speed is enough for most mountain bikers at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 600% range. So it's
right. So it's wider than anything anyone's doing anyway.
Wider
so
than
it's
any one
equivalent
bike.
to a 10 to 60 cassette then.
Yeah.
Rather than 10 to 52, or 10 to 51, which is what SRAM and Shimano are doing. So.
Yeah, that's it. So it's pretty massive.
This is where I've set you up in Sonorca a bit where you need to get to that shifter, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so,
and I can do that. So yeah, I mean, it's trigger shift. It takes a bit of getting used to in terms of the feel of it, but you quickly pick it up.
When I first rode it, the far trigger's kind of hiding behind the knee trigger in it a little bit.
I make the wrong shift if I've been riding a SRAM, a conventional bike or something, and I jump on this one, I always shift down when I meant to shift up and stuff like that. But within the space of half a ride, you get back to it, don't you? So so it's pretty good. And you can see it's there making the shift, and it's got a little beep that tells you you've got nowhere else to go when you're going up a steep hill.
Okay, right, yeah.
That's the worst sound you can hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Grinding up something.
But the real advantage with this is you don't need to be pedalling to make the shift.
No, and that is amazing. So they've had this gearbox for what? It must be 20 years since they've done. I'm sure they've refined it, but essentially it's the same thing. This is the new bit, this shift box. There used to be, or there still is on the mechanical shifting version, a sort of a little pulley that twists with two cables, you pull and pull, which is why you need the grip shift. This has been replaced by this box that sits on, and it's got the same mechanism inside, it's just controlled by motors.
So it's got a servo instead.
Also, there's a little sensor, and on the inside of the crank, these cranks are great, by the way, aren't they? But
it must be a very, very nice manual design then.
On the inside is a magnet, which tells the sensor your cadence.
Yeah.
Back wheel, you've got another sensor with a magnet that tells you your speed.
Yeah.
And there's an app, obviously, with Bluetooth, which you're going to get, where you program in.
Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. I've got to hold it. So tell you what, I'll put the camera down.
Do you want me to hold it? I'll hold it, right.
You hold it.
So you can set somewhere. There's a special bit. I don't know how we do it on yours. Anyway, there's a bit where you set up the bike. It's OEM, so manufacturer's area of this, like a secret bit of the app.
Right.
You get to it by pressing something 10 times or something. Anyway, and in that, I've already done it on this gearbox, but you program the gearbox with the specs of the bike. So wheel circumference, things like that. Angle of the gearbox as well, which perhaps makes a difference in terms of the timing of the shift. So you set all that on the app for the bike, and then you get some options there. Smart Select is...
Get it in the light.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
There we go, yeah.
Smart Select is the start gear. So you can set it to always start in gear 5 or whatever. So
yeah,
that's good. I think that's probably good if you're, I don't know, like a commuter bike or something like that, and you're pulling away from traffic lights.
Yeah, but if you know you tend to stop on steep climbs and want a lower gear, you can set it to like 3 or whichever direction it goes in.
Pre-select is what we're talking about, which is the
that's the cadence referencing gear. One, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, it knows your speed from the wheel, it knows your cadence from the crank, and it puts you in the right gear. If you're coasting, it changes gear for you, and it puts you in the right gear that you've set it to be, because you give it a target cadence.
Yeah, you give it a target cadence, which in cadence is the rate you're pedalling at.
Yeah.
And so what you can do, essentially, is rather than... You can make it auto-shift anyway. Even if you're pedaling, you can give it a little back pedal, and it'll automatically do that connection for you.
Yeah. So, in theory, you could take the shifter off, go for a ride, and it will always just shift. And like you say, if you just hold off the pedaling, once it knows it's coasting, it shifts gear.
Yeah.
I think the real advantage of this is for riding downhill, because you never change gear going downhill again. So you come swooping down a berm, turn round, you need to crank out of it. You're already in the right gear. Yeah. There's no thinking about...
It's already pre-selected that you're going to be in that right rev range.
Yeah, which is good because you don't know what gear you're in necessarily. You don't have any concept. There's no cogs at the back to look at.
Yeah, and you don't want to be looking back.
No. But there's no, on the grip shift you can see where you are. You can feel where you are. This system, you just, if you want easier gear, change it, harder gear, change it, whatever. You just move within the gears and you don't really know you're in gear 3 or whatever. So that makes the smart shift kind of more necessary in a way, because if you're barreling down a descent and you kind of lose track of what gear you're in, you don't know that you're in the wrong gear. You just know, you can go to the
sort of subconscious clicks in your head. Maybe,
you can go to the extremes if you know you need to be in gear 1 because you're coming around and turn into a start.
Somewhere like Steinberg, something like that.
But the smart shift, I think it's great for that. It's not,
and that's obviously rechargeable, is it? Or is
yes, there's battery in here,
right?
Which
that's your internal storage.
Nice.
Some clever man's put a tube in there to hide.
So there's a battery down here,
right?
That's all the wiring, but so it's wired. It's not wireless. Right, it's electric but wired.
Yeah.
So this is wire comes down here, and there's a sort of mess of cables down here. You've got cables coming from the sensor at the back. Sorry, no. You've got to be. It's beautifully choreographed flow of cables.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've got the sensor. You've got the shifting mechanism. They all join up with a battery that's in here, but the battery lasts. I don't know. It'll probably tell us what we're on, won't it? But I think it lasts for months.
Yeah.
Depending on...
It's not like an Axis battery, it's every 20, 30 hours or something
No.
And the actual efficiency of the gearbox, that's like hundreds of... What is it? When's the oil change meant to do? Is it like annual
I think it's annual, but...
Yeah.
I've never changed it. I mean, I've changed gearboxes more often than doing any kind of maintenance on them.
Yeah.
It's years, really. It
depends. And then having a belt drive on it, again.
Yeah, this is the ultimate winter hardtail. Sling it in the shed after you ride.
Yeah.
Get it out next week and kick the dirt off, and you're off.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. It's great. Some people love that. Some people won't like that.
I can't think of anyone who treats a bike like that at all, Adrian. Myself. Anyway.
But I love the Pinion gearbox.
Yeah.
But acknowledge it's not for everybody. It's not for every use. And it's not for everybody, but for the use case that it suits, which I think is a kind of winter hardtail at one end and anything kind of gravity orientated at the other because of the weight and the shifting now, it's a really good solution.
I mean, is that why you kind of attracted you to Pinion in the first place? Just a sort of no-nonsense, zero low-maintenance winter bike then?
This is going back, but I developed a gearbox like 20 odd years ago, and then it was about the time that the Pinion became popular, or they launched it at Gearbox,
Yeah.
didn't they, 2005 or something?
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about gearboxes.
Yeah.
And Pinion achieved what I wanted to achieve, which was input and output on the same axis.
Yes.
Previously, you've got like a lay shaft. Well, this has got the lay shaft here with some gears on, and the forces, weave their way through between the two.
Yeah.
But the output was always removed, which I never liked because I think bikes should look like a bike.
Yeah.
And this does.
And it just adds a lot more complexity.
Yeah.
And you can have this bike with a conventional setup. Is that right? You could make a dummy block to sit in there.
Yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah, we're going to make a dummy with a normal BB.
Yeah.
And then a hanger. But yeah, we looked at making just a standard hardtail. And the kind of cost, our stuff has to be expensive because of how we make it.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. So on a full suspension bike, I think we can be pretty competitive. Our truffle is less than £3,000.
Yeah. So how much is this frame?
This frame is 2,700 with the gearbox.
Yeah.
And
which
about 1,600
again, you're saying
without.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem outrageous to me, considering it's being handmade with custom options.
So for a
as well.
handmade carbon part made in the UK with customization and all the extra sort of admin and work that can go with that, I think it's good value. But on a hardtail, it's not a £200 hardtail steel.
Yeah, you're not competing with Planet X.
Yeah, so bringing out a standard geared version, we thought it's a tougher sell.
It's already a thick market, isn't it? Whereas there's very few bikes really available with Pinion, certainly in the carbon sphere.
Exactly, with carbon. So this is something we can do that's a bit different. And like I say, I've had an interest in gearboxes for a long time. I mean, the reason I stopped working on the gearbox I had was because Pinion did such a great job with this one. I thought, all right, they've done it.
And now it's definitely gone up a level as well. Now you've got electric shifting on it.
Exactly, so there's always been a problem with the shifter. It used to be a grip shift. It used to have
with two cables.
So you need to pull and pull.
Yeah.
And that was always a drawback. I kind of thought you'd get used to it, but actually, why should you have to get used to something like that? But they've solved it now. They've done it.
Yeah.
The weight's a bit of an issue, but again, that just goes to the use case, I think. So
and also, where the weight is less of an issue.
Yeah.
And also, there's another thing you haven't talked about.
Yeah, that's right.
That's your own carbon cranks.
They look pretty
your
good,
own
don't they?
titanium cranks.
So we get these made. These are 3D printed or additively manufactured titanium cranks, specifically for the Pinion gearbox.
Yeah.
So this was our effort. There's a couple of reasons. The first one is the weight. So to try and bring the system weight down. So you save close to a couple of 100 grams off the stock Pinion ones. There, as far as I'm aware, there aren't really any aftermarket cranks for the gearbox. You don't have much option. And until recently, on the standard width cranks, there was very little choice for crank length.
Yeah.
So this is something we can offer a bit different. We can do custom lengths. But even now on fat bikes, I think they only sell them with 175.
Yes.
Which seems ridiculous these days, doesn't it? And
with everybody moving.
I might be wrong. They might. Like I'm sure they're working on that.
And again, it just gives people more options.
Yeah. So it was those two things for us. It was the weight and the flexibility of crank length. So to cater to people. And but again, it's not a cheap thing, but for people, we think it's
but
offers
there's a real advantage, and it's something that's quite hard to get hold of. It's a small market. So So what's base geo on this?
So basically, 65 head angle, 76 seat angle. This is a large, which is a 480 reach.
Yeah.
There's more information
really
on our website. That's it. So
enough space for a long dropper.
Yeah, and you can obviously straight tube, so you can go the full length, and then we can. So, like you said, we've moved to metal molds.
Yeah,
which is a big thing for the bank balance, but a big thing for us anyway.
Because that makes it much more repeatable. You get a lot more frames out the same mold.
Yes.
Because with anything like 3D printing, you're only getting a handful of frames out before you might have.
So I start. I mean, the big thing with carbon fibre is quite sort of mythical, and there's a lot of inaccuracies that people say because it might benefit them. It might benefit me to perpetuate some of those, but I won't. But to work with, it's a very simple, it's a very crude material.
It's kind of like an extension of like papier-mâché Treasure Islands at school, isn't it?
It is. So I started working with carbon fibre in the back bedroom of a flat in Leeds.
Yeah.
You don't need a full sort of workshop setup at a basic level. Once you get to a certain level, like now we do, but to work with it's very crude. The crucial thing you need is a mould, because carbon fibre will take any shape you want. So you need something to give it the shape, and that's where the cost comes in.
Yeah, and then once you get a metal mould, you can increase the pressure being applied, squeezes out the resin, so you get a more consistent strength and everything like that. And basically a higher performance product.
Yes.
The more you can increase the pressure at the point when it's baked.
Yes.
Or at least the compaction at the point when it's baked.
Yeah.
You're not getting voids, you're not getting things like that.
Yeah.
And bubbles.
Yeah, and you get better surface finish, so there's less or no. I mean, on these, we hardly do any post processing, so there's no holes to fill or whatever.
Yeah, there's no filler or anything
sanding. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which was another reason to do the wrap and not paint, because we want to sort of show off.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of money with these molds to get that finished.
I've seen plenty of frames where you just like, you can literally stick a thumbnail in some parts of it.
Yeah, I mean, we
smoothed off.
We do a lot of repairs as well for kind of local riders, and mainly road bikes, because they're so kind of lightweight and thin and they break. But we see a lot of what people are trying to hide when you do a repair. You can see it's often quite a lot of filler, but you know it works. If you've got, it's a totally different setup, isn't it? The way those bikes are made and the way ours are made. The sort of chemical process is identical. Like you say, it's heat and pressure.
Yeah.
And we put it down in the same way. It kind of works, but the bit away from the laying up is different in terms of the work where we want to concentrate our effort.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time putting carbon in moulds and things like that.
Yeah, exactly, which gives you a feel for it. I mean, all the different pre-pregs you're using and things, presumably will have a different feel, even on a different day with a different temperature and stuff like that.
That's right, yeah.
And also, if you're literally hands-on and you know what you're doing with carbon fibre because you've got like 20 years experience with it, if you get a defect in something, in the pre-preg or something like that, you can spot that and go, hang on, we've got a wrong here. If you're on piecework overseas, and you're just like, yeah, whatever. You're just doing it.
Well, I think, I mean, the difference over there is it's not a problem. There's an abundance of cheap labour.
Yeah.
There's not a problem with directing work at the end of the process.
Yes.
So you can make it, you can have a process that's quick and cheap, but creates defects, but you can remedy those defects at the end with extra work, and that's work.
And also, you build your product around and your process around the worst version it could be.
Yeah,
and make that acceptable.
Yeah, no, and that's not to say those bikes are terrible. Because we know they're
they've done good, aren't they? Yeah, there's a lot of people riding around on them perfectly happily. Yeah,
it's just a different way. We have to look at it differently because we don't want to spend days doing sanding and things.
Exactly.
We've done that in the past, and it's horrible. So, but so that was the move to metal molds. I started. So as I say, the kind of problem you need to solve is how you're going to make a tool. Yeah. And I started by using a 3D printed plastic parts like polycarbonate, so it goes to high temperature.
Yeah, I remember when I came down to see you with the first truffle video. So I'll link that at the end.
That's right, yeah. And then I think by that point we'd moved on to CNC machined tooling block, which is like an epoxy tooling board. So the printed molds are probably good for one or two parts. Like you say, it's not a great process. The tooling block's good for a dozen or so parts.
Security are getting engaged at the front door.
And then the metal molds, it's dozens and dozens. It's almost, for our purposes, there's no limit, can go.
Sorry, before I forget, lifetime warranty on these, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Lifetime repair or replace, which is another reason to do the wrap. So our choice will always be to repair.
Yeah.
And so, if there's some kind of issue, we can take that bit of wrap off, do a repair, get a new bit of wrap printed, and it's off, good to go. So we don't need that sort of
and also people can refresh the colours.
Yeah, that's right. So exactly. Yeah, if you run a bike like this for a year or two or whatever, and you fancy a change, or you made some design decisions on your custom wrap and you regret it in the way that you might regret a haircut or
it's
something.
It's not like getting a tattoo, is it? It's not like going down to Factory Oceans and going, oh, that is what I asked for, but actually.
Yeah. So it's about building in a bit of flexibility. So customization, but also some kind of flexibility on our side. So we're, with the molds, we are restricted to kind of 4 sizes that we think covers most of or almost all of what people would want in terms of geometry, sizes, the range. But then there's some customization within that. So we can't change head angle, but we can make a frame with 56 top and bottom. So this is 56-44 standard, but we could do 56-56.
And then people could put an angle set in.
You could put an angle set in, so you get plus or minus 2 degrees or up to 2. Same with seat tube. We can't change the angle, but we can change the length. For example, if someone wanted some quirky kind of geometry and needed a longer extension or whatever, we can make things shorter or longer. And then most of the customization for us comes at the back, because we just machine this part out of a flat plate that we make, so that we've got unlimited.
And obviously that gives you a wide range on tyre clearance as well. Yeah,
that's right. And so and then we can tweak wheel position, which gives you some adjustment on BB
that gives you some adjustment on that head angle and
else.
seat angle and BB drop and everything.
So it's not a full kind of custom geometry. You come with a shopping list of what you want in a way that you might go to it's not
steel frame build
custom in that sense, but it's customizable, I'd say.
Grand.
So there we go.
Right, well, thanks very much for the intro.
No problem.
Let's get riding it.
Let's go.
Crack it. And before we do that, need to see the other bike, don't we?
Next bit,
yeah. So, massive thanks to Adrian for this. Like, subscribe if you really like podcast. If you really like the videos. What the hell am I on about? If you really like the channel, throw us a few quid on Patreon. That'd be grand. And where do people find out about Carbon Wasp?
It's carbonwasp.com or at Carbon Wasp
on the old
Instagrams.
Grand.
All of those.
Yeah, right. So, ride video coming up and big reveal on the, I'm properly excited for this one, on a custom wrap that Adrian's put together on a long-term build-up bike for me. So, stay tuned, people. Cheers. Thanks a lot, Adrian.
All right. I want you to know this comes from a place of affection.
Right. Okay.
But this is the reveal.
All right. See, I genuinely don't.
So this is the Carbon Wasp Truffle 120 Guy Kez TV edition. I'll show you this bit first.
Oh my lord. Look at that.